Hello guys, James here. Just wanted to make a video, and it's gonna be on a little bit of political side. And I'm gonna play a couple videos. I'm not gonna try to play Phil Scott's, but it was some points that this person made. Then I'm gonna play Professor Black True. He's on another channel, and let's talk about reparations. And then I'm gonna give my commentary. It's not gonna be try not to make this video too long. Just try to make it interesting. But sometimes it seems like the commentary, I just go and go and go, and I gotta learn to cut my commentary. That's it. All right, then. I'm about to play the video, and hopefully you're able to see it. And one of these days, I gotta figure out how to get a good editing software. Cheap editing. Um, let me see.
As a farmer, I know the importance of sustaining. That's why
Yeah, there was a video that came across my desk of Jimmy Dore. Now, some of you say, who is this guy? The first time I seen this guy, a long time ago, when I used to at least glance at the Young Turks, he was working over there for about 10 years. Now, you know the Young Turks is hardcore left wing. You know, they call themselves progressives. That doesn't mean anything for black people whatsoever. We know the so-called progressives are just as racist as those so-called conservatives, right? So he was actually labeled himself a Democrat all the way up until 2016. And then in 2016, he switched over from Democrat. Now he says he's independent. But if you listen to a lot of his talking points, and even the video that we're going to listen to now, just a short clip of him, is still Democrat talking points. Now, the Democrat Party and liberals in particular, them folks in particular on that party, they have this paternalistic mindset relating to black people. And it's because we allow it, and I'm going to repeat that again, because we allow it. But they have this paternalistic mindset that they feel like they can tell us what to do. They know what's best for us. We don't know what's best for us. We don't know what we go through in our lived experiences, etc. So, you know, the last podcast we had covered about Cori Bush and her presenting a bill talking about reparations. Well, the bill actually came out, and she's asking for $14 trillion for black people for reparations. Now, we'll get to that probably another podcast. That number alone made a lot of them very upset. If you want to know where they stand and how they feel about black people, I am noticing reparations is the litmus test. If you really want to know what they think, if you want to know their tendencies, where they going in their ideology, just ask them about reparations. How do you feel about reparations? See, they can't fake when you ask them about reparations because the real them come out, right? So someone wanted Jimmy Dore to talk about the bill and talk about what Cori Bush is presenting. Now, I want you to not only listen to what he says, but I want you to listen very carefully to the spirit behind what he's saying. Just listen, but let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Jimmy, can you do an episode on Missouri Democrat Representative Cori Bush has introduced new legislation calling for $14 trillion in reparations for Black Americans? Ron Martin, thank you for the rec.
How about we call for to get them health care and a living wage first?
I think I like
How about
health care
that?
and a living wage for all my
try to
brothers
get
and
them a health care and a
sisters.
living wage before we try to get something that's unbelievably deficient. How about that? Can we get them health care and a living wage? Because that would help black people more than anything.
Do you see what I meant about the spirit behind what he's saying? He was angry, completely angry that someone asking him to cover that, and he feels in his mind that he knows what black people need. He knows. And he says that you black people and me, we need livable wages and health care because that's what he said that we need. He don't live our life. He don't have our experiences. He hasn't been through nothing of what a black person has been through in America, but he feel like he has a right to tell us what we need instead of us saying, no, we need reparations because we have to close that wealth gap and that money will make everything right. It is a repair. It's not even a handout. It is a repair of the damage that was done to the black man and woman of America. And people that's on that other side, because you know black folks, you love to vote Democrat. You love to vote Democrat. You love it. And this is how they think about you. Right there. You don't need reparations. You need a living wage and you need health care. But the same people that love to put in regulations on the small business people, the people they can put regulations on to make sure you have a living wage, right? The Amazons, the Walmarts, the Targets, anywhere else, right? They don't do it because they donate to them. So it's just the same old BS. But I want to bring in, before I continue, Brother Malcolm. I want you to listen to what Brother Malcolm said about the liberal. Because some of you probably heard this, some of you may not. But Malcolm, in this clip that's so spot on, you would think he was actually living in 2023. Let's roll that.
Crooked game of power politics here in America. The Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro Civil Rights League, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress.
Isn't it kind of like just mind-boggling that what Malcolm said in the 1960s is relevant in 2023? It lets you know these people aren't progressive. They don't change at all. They're still the same as they were in the 1960s. Now, Malcolm also touched on the sellouts that we got today, and we know who they are, all the bootleg, the shucking and jiving, bootlicking shines. We all know who they are. Same thing. The tokenism that the brother talked about, right? All the tokenism and all the little, we know that. We see all of that. Everything Malcolm said. But what he said about the liberal is that they have mastered the art of deceiving you and making you think they're your friend. Malcolm viewed them as more dangerous than that conservative. See, you could see Ron DeSantis coming a mile away, and actually like to see them coming a mile away. But what's dangerous is the liberal, because the liberal smile in your face, and when you turn your back, they stab you in it. When you're approaching them with that smile, they feel just like Ron DeSantis and anybody else that have a certain feeling towards you. But they mask it with a smile. And then when it comes to something they can't hide themselves with, like reparations, they get angry and they tell you what you need. Because you have allowed them to speak for you. You have allowed it. You are the only group of people in the United States of America that vote 87%. That's what you did in the last presidential election. 87% 97% Democrat. Even when you have people who's supposed to be shaking things up. Prime example, because I'm going to mention them, because I got to go back to that time period. You remember when ADOS was a thing? And ADOS was saying, oh, we're going to get reparations, we're going to shake things up, whatever. And then when the Democrat Party was not listening to them, and they had said at the time, okay, since you're not going to listen to us, okay, well, we're going to do this. We're going to vote down ballot. And they made sure to say Democrat. How are you hurting the Democrats when you're voting still for Democrats? I just had a comment from a white person recently. And the logic makes more sense than anything. But the white person was like, if all black people would just stop voting Democrat just for one election cycle, just one, and tell them you're not voting for them until you get reparations, he said the Democrats will give it to you the next time because you actually sat it out and didn't show up for them. How is that hurting the Democrats, telling them to vote down ballot Democrat? Well, leave the presidential ticket alone, but give Democrats power and everything else. I wrote on that then, I ride on that now. That is not a good strategy. If you got the juice, then you tell the people, nope, since Democrats not give us what we want, oh, Republicans gonna give us something? Oh, you're not gonna give us anything? No problem, we sitting it out. Then they want to get mad when you call them out about that. That was a dumb strategy. You still gave all your votes to Democrats. Mm-hmm. And then they want to say, we built that party. You didn't build a thing. White liberals built that party. You just showed up like dummies to go vote for them. Over and over and over and over again. And what did black people get out of the Democrat Party? Not a freaking thing. The Democrat Party, based on how you vote, Black America, the reparations should have been done a long time ago. Based on your votes. You are loyal to these people like they gave us reparations. Where the loyalty comes from. So much so that you will argue another black person down, call them a sellout, raccoon, and anything else because they don't want to vote for the Democrat Party. Where does the loyalty come from? But Malcolm told you, they have mastered the art of deceiving you and acting like they're your friend. They use certain language, equity, hate speech, inclusion. And then after all that inclusion and hate speech, who benefits from it? The Asian community. They get a whole bill. You have been suffering for hundreds and hundreds of years with white supremacist terrorism, and they the one get the hate crime bill, not you. Even when you have a congressional black caucus who outnumbers the Asian caucus on the Hill. All your congressional black caucus members voted for that and didn't even include black folk on that bill.
I'm going to stop it right there. But I'm going to tell you, he makes an excellent point. And he makes a good point. But I'm going to go to Professor Black Truth.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth. The power of white supremacy is based on the strength of its economy. But what also needs to be said is that the ability of white supremacy to oppress us is based on the weakness of our own economy, a weakness that has been engendered into the system because we are under the thumb of the very people who hate us. And while there are a large number of factors that we don't have the ability to influence, nonetheless we should focus on controlling the controllables. And that starts with controlling where we spend our money. The biggest single obstacle we have internally to the rise of black empowerment are these stealth operatives for white supremacy. We have a large number of people within the black community who are doing everything that they can to undermine black group economics. Negroes who make it a point to spend their money with anyone and everyone except for black people. In fact, they go beyond that. They try to find people who abuse them because they're black, and let's go ahead and spend our money with them. You This is how you get people like Oprah Winfrey complaining about how she went to the Prada store or to Gucci or wherever, and next thing you know, she's saying, oh, they were following me around the store and treating me like I was a criminal. Yeah, why are you going to these people in the first place? Why are you spending money with them? Because they think it's cute. And she's not alone. I went by the mall and I saw some black women at the nail salon, but it wasn't one that was owned by a black woman. It was a cheap little spot, you know the type. Why is it that we have so many black people who are determined to spend money with people who don't respect us and who have not and will not do business with us on anything? You go to any other community and they don't have black people doing anything for them other than being customers. That's where the interaction begins and ends. Black people make and do so many things that are readily monetizable and marketable. Yet when we look up, we see everyone else trying to reverse engineer their own version of what we created and then sell our own ideas back to us. With everyone else, it's about building brand equity. It's about building up their brand, giving it value. But when it comes to things that black people make, the goal is to devalue it, circumvent it, and give money to whatever knockoff competitor there is. When black people create things, our brands are of as good a quality as anyone else, if not better. We create fashion trends. So why on earth are there so many black people, especially these so-called influencers, who are so jolly in the behind to wear Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Fendi or whatever, and these people are in many cases selling our own fashion trends back to us. But that's who we go breaking our necks to put money into the pockets of. And we're willing to pay a king's ransom for it, when the truth is it originated with us to begin with. When it comes to business, you have to balance the taken with the given. If someone does a good amount of business with you, then you ought to do a good amount of business with them. Right. If they do only a little business with you, then you ought to do no more than a little business with them.
Exactly.
And if someone makes it a point to do no business with you, then you know how much business you will be doing with them. In every other community in the United States, whenever a dollar comes into those communities, it touches the hands of other people in that community multiple times before it finally leaves.
Exactly.
But in the black community, that money is gone practically before it's even earned.
Exactly.
Though we need to be honest, this problem happens to be not simply because these are factors beyond our control. In large part, it's because as black people, it is our habit to be making sure that we have our money going into everybody else's pockets.
Yep.
And we don't even examine why, we just do it. 80% of the time, it never even occurs to us to check and see if maybe there's some black business person out there who is able to fill whatever need for a good or service that we have. An economy is like a ship. It's supposed to be airtight. When your economic condition is ship-shape, you can go anywhere. Rough seas may give you some trouble, but they won't sink you. And that's how it's supposed to be. But when your ship has nothing but holes in it, which is what giving money to anyone except for your own is, then all you will do is sink. The black community has been completely open to doing business with everyone, no matter who they are or where they came from. That's how groups are able to come to the U.S. and prosper, because they always start off in our neighborhoods and in our communities.
Yes.
And we freely do business with them.
Yes.
But they never reciprocate.
Yes.
We see the same pattern playing itself out with groups of illegal immigrants who are being put in black neighborhoods in places like Chicago.
Yep.
Our dollars bootstrap and benefit everyone else's economies, and yet the transactions are always only one way.
Yep.
There is a boycott on black businesses by every other group, and it's not based on the quality of our work because everyone else has no problem with us working for them. You know, that is, if their own children or their own in-laws or friends don't want the job, then they have no problem hiring black people and their businesses do just fine.
True.
Problem comes in that there is also an outright refusal to put money into a black business, and it's personal.
Yes.
But equally onerous is that in addition to this external boycott, we also have an internal one as well. All right?
Yes.
That's the bad news. Here's the good news. There's more than enough of us to do something about both of those problems. In 2020, black people showed how valuable the black dollar is to other people's businesses. What's called for is for us to show how valuable black dollars are to our own. Now, there were some people who didn't like it, that we only did business with them to the extent they did business with us. But of course, if it's wrong when we decide to not give our money to anyone outside our community, then why is it right when everyone else does that with us? This ties directly into the reparations piece, because the foundation of group economics is to exercise discipline with our dollars. And what is discipline? As the U.S. Army defined it, discipline is when you put the goals of the organization ahead of your own personal wishes. The expediency, or rather laziness, that most black people exercise when it comes to where they do business and where they spend their dollars is at the heart of the matter. Too many of us have an excuse or a lie ready for every day of the week as to why it's okay for us not to do business with other black people. And that kind of Negro will endure any amount of abuse and even physical harm in their efforts to patronize everyone else except for black people. While it's a shame to see black people being discriminated against at clothing stores or to read about some story about being beat up at a nail salon, the truth is those black people already knew what kind of treatment they could expect to receive. They had a choice of where to spend their dollars. And they chose to spend their money for terrible service.
Right.
Black people who make it a point to patronize everyone except for others don't have anything going for themselves.
Right.
That's why they think so little of being abused and disrespected,
Exactly.
just to be able to support every economy out there except for black people.
Exactly.
It's a form of self-hate.
Yep.
But it's not some victimless crime to put money into the hands of people who don't respect you. They see you as a fool, not a loyal customer. You teach people how to treat you. And when you make people who abuse you rich, no matter how much they harm you, then what you're teaching them is that you like being taken advantage of. You know, more than a few problems we face could be greatly alleviated, including much of the lack of respect that we get, if we decided that we were going to do business with other black people. It's like I've always told you. If you want to be popular, then just tell everyone else yes. Whatever they say, just say yes to it, and people will like you. But on the other hand, if you want to be respected, then you have to start learning to say no. Though in our case, when it comes to the former point, we have the worst of both worlds. We say yes to everyone else, we do what they tell us to do, and it only encourages them to abuse us. Business is an exchange, but good faith interactions require that both parties respect one another. Respect is what has to come first. If you're not exactly sure what black businesses there are near you, then make it a point to find out. And if you're a black business, then sharpen your skills, put the word out, and make sure your
Thank you.
presentation is on point so you can provide the level of service and products that black people deserve. It's time to break the economic embargo on black American businesses, once and for all. Good day, and
I couldn't agree with you more. But we're going to go to this next one. I'm going to do my commentary
Rise and
after
shine.
this one.
No, the sun! Just kidding. I'm wearing native. Get ready to turn everything you know about sun care upside down. With native, simple, clean, mineral sunscreen for your face and your body. Before native, sunscreen was a pain.
Dr. Claude Anderson, but nobody wants to give the man credit. Grassroots out there working hard for reparations, particularly here in California. And let me shout out CJAC out there. CJAC is one of those organizations on the ground doing the work. You know, don't get fooled by individuals who are acting like they're the main push of reparations. No, it's actually people on the ground in California where I live at that are part of organizations like CJAC who are showing up to these meetings, that are putting the pressure on the metal of these committee meetings members to get this reparations thing pushing forward. Now you've heard in the news that the governor of California is playing around with whether he agrees with it or not. Now all of a sudden he's backpedaling, another Democrat, Newsom. So you've heard that. But there's things behind the scenes that a lot of you don't know about that's going on with people that are doing real groundwork. And a man who did groundwork politically was John Conyers. He gets lost in all of this. John Conyers is the man who gets lost in all of this, and nobody brings up his name as much as they should
from a political standpoint. He was the one who first introduced the idea of reparations at the political federal level. And the reason why, and guess what happened to him? Every time this brother brought up the issues of reparations, he kept getting stalemated, meaning they didn't even want him to they didn't even want John Conyers from Detroit, y'all, okay? From Detroit, Motor City. They didn't even want John Conyers to be able to have a committee to even study reparations. A lot of folks don't know that. That at one point in time, they were giving John Conyers pushback when he was trying to put together a committee to go about getting reparations. And that got pushback. He got lots of pushback from those in Congress, the Senate, and the usual suspects that we have in government, whether it be the usual raccoons and the usual white supremacists. Let me read something to you, ladies and gentlemen. Very important. This was an article that came out back in April of 2021. This was an article. Washington, the House Judiciary Committee advances the legislation on Wednesday. I think this was in 2021 of April, to study reparations for Black Americans that a former Detroit, as I said, a former Detroit congressman reintroduced into Congress for 30 years. It was 30 years ago that John Conyers introduced this, and look at where we are today in the 21st century. Why hasn't the Congressional Black Caucus got this thing moving? Now, they're going to tell you and me that they can't do anything because the Republicans are in control of the House. But let's not forget that it was the Democratic Party that had been in control of the House for all these years, and they've done nothing to move John Conyers' bill along like they should. 30 years, what have those Negroes been doing all this time? As I said, Clyburn has been in office since 1993. Here we are in the year 2023, excuse me. Here we are in the year 2023, and Clyburn is sitting up here telling young black people, you ain't gonna get this, you ain't gonna get that. And the question we really should be asking is, what have you been doing all these years, Negro? That you sitting up here telling us what we're not gonna get, but what have you not been doing? Let me read this part here, this article. It was the first time since the late United States Representative John Conyers Jr. began offering the bill in 1989. This H.R. 40 bill's been around since 1989. They're gonna tell you that Sheila Jackson Lee, they gonna tell you that she's the one responsible. No, it was John Conyers who introduced this, and he went through a hell of a hard time trying to get it off the ground. Remember that video that came out years ago? I think it was in the 90s, where Dr. Claude Anderson, they had a committee, they had some type of meeting in Washington, and Dr. Claude Anderson, it's on video on YouTube if you can find it. Dr. Claude Anderson talked about how reparations could be a reality for black people. He broke down the history of what this government has done to black people. It was Dr. Claude Anderson, but nobody wants to give the man credit. So in 1989, that committee voted on a legislation known as H.R. 40. The vote was 25 to 17. So when anybody tell you that Sheila Jackson Lee, Miss Jackson, who's a congresswoman, she's not responsible for putting this together. She reintroduced it because this brother right here, John Conyers, went through a hell of a lot for us to try to get this off the ground. And so now what we have today is we have H.R. 40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposal for African Americans. That's the wrong wording. That should be black, that should be
for black people in America who are descendants of those black people who were enslaved on those plantations in America, in the South, and throughout this country, that are descendants in this country. That should be changed. But this is the legislation that would establish a commission to consider the purpose for reparations. Damn it, how long does it take to come up with a damn decision? It's been 30 damn years. African Americans, descendants of slavery. The legislation is the Senate H.R. 40, introduced by Sheila Jackson Lee. No, it was originally introduced by this man right here in its early stages, and nobody gives him credit. I just wanted to bring that up, and Clyburn has been in office long enough to know the work of John Conyers, and for him to set up here and tell black folks that we're not going to get this, we're not going to get that, and when we're asking him to help us make things possible, he wants to skedaddle us away, but yet he praises his white daddy, Joe Biden, Jim Crow Biden, with that damn crime bill that he put upon that hurt black people. He praises Joe Biden, and then Joe Biden, this is the thing, I'm disappointed in Howard University, supposed to be a black university of higher learning, an HBCU. They invite Joe Biden's raggedy ass there to speak to do a commencement speech to the students, while he's sitting up there telling black folks something that we already know about how white supremacy is at an all-time high in America, and that the white supremacist groups and white nationalist groups are at a high tune. But yet, you notice one thing that he did not do, ladies and gentlemen? He did not tell you what he was going to do about it, damn it! He didn't tell you what he was going to do about it.
Tell the truth.
Nope. Nope.
Did he tell you what he was going to do about it? Ladies and gentlemen, if you know I'm telling the truth, put a 7 in the chat room. Get these algorithms cranking up. Did Joe Biden tell us what he was going to do about it? He simply said, well, the white supremacists and the white nationalist groups are at all-time high and they're speeding up in their activity, but never told you what he was going to do about it. Did he? Put a 7 in the chat room. Did he tell you that he's putting together a commission of law enforcement to crack down on these groups? Did he tell you that he was going to take away the Ku Klux Klan's 50C1 non-profit status? Did he tell you that he was going to declare a bill or put an executive order out to make the Boogaloo Boys, the Proud Boys, and every other white nationalist group out there, to make them public enemy number one, or to say that they are domestic terrorist groups, therefore they cannot function in our society and walk the streets? They must be arrested, they must be put in an indictment, and we must send the FBI, CIA, whatever damn alphabet group to infiltrate their organizations. Didn't they destroy and infiltrate the Black Panther Party? Tell me I'm lying, folks. Didn't they infiltrate the Black Panther Party? Put a 7 in the chat room if I'm telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Panther Party doesn't exist because the government got rid of them and sold them as a black terrorist group. Now that's what they did. While Clyburn is up here cheesing with the man who goes to a historical black college and tells black people something that we've already known. Hell, the FBI in 2006, everybody, if you look it up, just put it in the search engine of your Google, they said that there was an increase in these white nationalist groups going into the military and policing. In Los Angeles, California, the sheriff's department in Los Angeles is made up of many white supremacist groups as well as Hispanic groups that are what? Anti-black. They got a gang within the law enforcement in Los Angeles called the sheriff's department. What is he going to do about that? So Joe Biden sits up there, says all those things because he's pandering to these young black folks in college because he wants their votes by saying what he thinks he want to hear, but yet has done nothing, has passed no legislation to neutralize these groups.
Right.
Do I get a witness?
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
And Clyburn sits up there and tells us what we're not going to get. Let me let you see the video evidence of what I'm talking about. Let's go with the first video evidence. This happened a couple of years ago. I think this is Jamie Fowler who was interviewing him or trying to interview him about or asking him questions about reparations. I interviewed the brother that's going to be talking to him, who was a part of the ADOS movement originally. Asked some very candid questions, ladies and gentlemen, that he wanted to run away from. Let me show you that video leading up to the other explosive video right now. Here we go. Listen.
If you wait on taxpayers to come out of reparations, wait forever. It's not going to happen. So what you got to do, let's talk, don't put that in my face.
Why you touch me?
Okay, all right. I'm going to leave you alone.
Cut the check. Tell Nancy Pelosi to cut the check.
Yeah.
You do that for me?
She's the treasurer.
Cut the check. Somebody better cut the check.
Well,
reparations are owed, sir.
Talk to them.
ADOS, you're not going to run away from this issue, Congressman.
Oh, I'm not trying to run away from it.
It seems like you are. You're walking away right now.
Oh.
Cut the check, Congressman. Cut the check. ADOS, you're not going to walk away from this, Congressman. ADOS is everywhere. Cut the check.
What is going on with you? You didn't get your breakfast on time.
I got plenty of breakfast.
Well,
You can tell, right?
let's talk about it.
All right.
Do some social work. As you can see, Clyde Byrne, once again, that was Jamie Fowler that asked him a very important question about whether he's a supporter of the reparations movement. And once again, he's telling, at that time, the ADOS movement, ADOS, was at its very high height, at its very high heights, okay? And Jamie Fowler, who I interviewed about, and we talked about that incident, you can see that Clyde Byrne did not want to deal with the real issue that he was being confronted about. And this man is supposed to represent the people. He's been in office since 1993, living off of what he's done in the past, but has done nothing for us lately today. This is a damn shame. It needs to be examined. We need to really examine the black leadership. We don't have, let me just say this, we don't have any real black leadership. What we have is a bunch of Negroes that are in Congress or in the Senate, and they're basically just benefiting from the positions that they're in. They're living off of their past and deeds, but are doing nothing for us today. And then black people, we simply keep putting them in office. They keep holding on to power, and then you have to ask yourself, why do they hold on to power? What backroom deals are they cutting to maintain that position that they're in? I'm here to tell you that allegedly that Clyde Byrne has been, he's been getting some help from the Republicans. We talk about this on YouTube, and some people like myself talk about this, about whether when it comes to the Republicans and the Democrats, that they're the same bird of the same wing. That there's nothing different about Democrats or Republicans.
Nope.
They're the same birds
Right.
of the same two wings. You got a left wing, you got a right wing. But they both work
Right.
in unison with each other when it comes to screwing you, the public.
Right.
The Republicans or the Republican clan screws you without Vaseline and says, do you like it? The Democrat Party screws you with Vaseline and say, I love you, but do nothing for you.
Nope.
This is the truth.
Tell the truth.
Two wings of the same evil bird that does nothing for us.
Nope.
I want y'all to understand what I'm saying. So when we get into these debates that mean nothing about Democrats and Republicans,
Nope.
black people have gotten nothing from the Republicans.
Nope.
As of to now, black people are not getting anything from the Democrats as of right now as well. I'm not talking about what happened 30 and 40 and 50 years ago. Dismiss me with all of that. We know that history already. I'm talking about today in 2023.
Right.
He's been in office. Joe Biden. Jim Crow Biden's been in office for 4 years now. Where's the tangibles for black people?
Right.
I don't care about symbolism. I don't care about him putting a black woman in the Supreme Court. So what?
Right. That don't mean nothing. And she got the same view.
Because that Supreme Court is dominated by Republicans anyway. So what?
Right.
I don't care about his appointments in his cabinet, I don't care about, he has a black female as President Kamala Harris, or someone who wants to be black on certain days when she chooses to be, depending on who she's talking to when they're talking to us.
Exactly.
I don't care about all of that. That's symbolism. That's not doing anything for us.
Right.
I'm talking about tangible. I'm talking about programs that are geared towards black people specifically.
Exactly.
And in this case, reparations and reparations now, and cut the damn check.
Exactly.
Now, you got some people out here that are going to say, oh, come on, man. That's a long time ago. You ain't going to get this. You begging for something. No. The issue is this. Reparations isn't something that is what we're begging for. It is a bill and a debt that the United States government owes the ancestors, the descendants of those ancestors that they enslaved and got free labor from to build this country.
Exactly.
We are the descendants of those black people that were foundational here.
Yes.
So when we're talking about reparations, we're talking about what you owe us, not what we're begging for. That's where a lot of people get the issue wrong. And I want to say this too. If you are a black person out there listening to this program right now, or in the chat room, or listen whenever you listen to this, if you're not a supporter of reparations, okay, this is the question. Go away. Stay out of our cipher. Stay out of our cipher. Stay out of our conversations. Don't get on any panels with black people that are supporters of reparations. We don't need you in the conversation. We don't want you in the conversation. Because we know if we do get the reparations, you're going to be one of the first people in line to get your check. So those of you who are not with the reparations movement, okay, stop talking about it. You're not with it. Go away. Stop criticizing people who are for it.
That's true.
Simple as that.
That's
this
true.
whole thing about, well, let's go back to Africa. I'm sorry. I was born here in America. We have too much here in this country that we have been fighting for. I'm not running over to the continent of Africa in a place that I've never been. I have no other than ancestral roots. I have no roots to the soil there. Don't speak the language. And Africa is not a country. It's a continent made up of 50 or more some countries with different languages, different cultures, and a lot of us as black people, we wouldn't know which way is up, where we're going. And I know there's people that would say, go to Africa because you can escape. You can't escape white society, white world, white supremacy. You can't escape any of it in the world because they're in Africa. Who you think controlling it? Then you got the Chinese over there running their con game to control resources by building everything up. And guess what? They're going to end up owning every damn thing. So to each his own. For those who want to move to Africa, do what you want to do. But that's not a solution to a situation in which this country owes us what they owe us. Clyde Byrne wants to skip around this issue and be demonstrative towards black people that are asking him the very simple question. Let me show you the latest video. It was on Twitter of Clyde Byrne. Once again, here we go.
You want to know if you support reparations? I'm sorry? You want to know if you support reparations? I'll support reparations other than that name. Y'all need to learn what reparations is. Don't keep talking about a word. It means to repair.
Okay, this is what's dumb about Clyde Byrne right now. He says, y'all, see how he talks down? This is what you call these old Negroes who talk down to you. And I'm gonna say something. We got Sister Doll Eyes TV in the chat room. I was listening to your premiere video yesterday when you guys were talking about the manosphere and all these different things. I'm gonna correct some things that I heard on there that was incorrect. This whole thing about baby Generation X is responsible for no, we're not. It's the baby boomers that are responsible for all the effery that we got going on. Because when I'm a Gen Xer, so I know.
Yeah.
You should.
I am too.
When Gen Xers were born, we got the short end of the stick from the baby boomers.
Right.
The baby boomers failed the Generation X. So therefore, if we were failed, we were left with no resources, no land, no nothing. Then what the hell could we do for the next generation?
We ain't talking about
for the
stocks.
millennials that complain, or the Z generation that complains about G Xers, your ass wouldn't be born. You wouldn't be walking around talking if it wasn't for some Gen Xers giving birth to your ass.
Exactly.
In the first place.
Exactly.
And you fail to understand that it was the baby boomers who failed the Gen Xers.
Exactly.
And didn't do shit for us.
Exactly.
You fail to understand that who controls this country? It's not millennials. The majority of this government is controlled by baby boomers. Baby boomers. A baby boomer is in the White House right now.
Exactly.
A baby boomer was in the White House 4 years ago called Donald Trump.
Yes.
The majority of those white men and white folks that run this government come from the baby boomer generation.
Exactly.
Baby boomers have screwed this country up we call America.
Right.
And have left Gen Xers nothing.
Nope.
And in leaving us nothing, we have nothing to give
to the
millennials.
Right.
Our failures and what we didn't do is a failure of the generation that didn't do a damn thing for us.
Right.
It was the Gen Xers who were the first generation to be latchkey kids. We were the first generation that had to do everything on our own.
Mm-hmm.
We're the generation that who got our ass whipped. We're the generation that got disciplined. We're the generation that didn't get coddled like the millennials have been coddled. We're the generation that didn't nobody give us a participation trophy, damn it. We had to earn every damn thing that we got.
That's true.
Nobody gave us a break. Nobody coddled us.
Nope. Nope.
And another thing I'm going to say is a recommendation.
I'm from that generation, I know.
To young black men out there, don't listen to these fools on YouTube telling you about man. Go connect with a real black male organization in the streets,
exactly.
in the community that can really show you what the real deal is. Get with your 100 black men.
Exactly.
Join black male organizations that's doing the work and have men that are professional that you can actually see, because you can't reach out and touch. No, you can't really see nobody on YouTube.
No.
You go join an organization with black men doing things, and you connect with those black men that are doing things that can show you in real life what they're doing and how you can do it too.
Exactly.
Connect with real black men in the communities.
Exactly.
Organizations.
Exactly.
Stay away from these talking puppets on YouTube who look, these guys don't even show you what they look like.
No.
If you listen to anybody that hides behind an avatar, don't show you what they look like, and they're trying to give you advice, something's wrong with you. Go find real black men in the community. Join these organizations. That's what it's about.
That's true.
And that's what we need. Because as long as we have the Clyburns of the world who tells us that y'all got to learn what the word reparation means, it means to repair. Okay, it means to repair, Clyburn. Guess what? America has a lot of repairing to do for black folks.
Exactly.
With cutting that damn check and paying that reparations.
Right.
The hell what he...
Once you talk about a word, it means to repair. Cash payment. Hell no.
You hear him saying, the brother says, he says the word means to repair. The brother says cash payments. And Clyburn says, hell no. Just like he said to Jamie Fowler on the other video.
Searching for the best flower delivery in Columbus? We've got you covered.
And I'm gonna stop it right there, and I'm gonna finish this video out with my commentary. Black people, let me give you a little code. Remember when you was a child, you heard the terminology Simon said, and when you were a kid, Simon Says was you had to play his game and you had to do everything what Simon says. If Simon says move left, you move left. If you move right, you move right. Have you ever thought about who created Simon Says? Who are the people that put that in the nursery rhyme? And when you were a child, because it wasn't people that looked like us. Who said Simon Says? Your people. You know who the real Simon Says is? It's the people. It's the president of the United States. Simon Says. Joe Biden. Ron DeSantis and Mitch McConnell. Them your Simon Says. Simon Says until we move. Kevin McCartney. Your people in your local state, your city, your county. They Simon Says. It don't matter if they put a face that look like you. It's the Simon Says. Simon Says until we give it to you, until we decide when you move. That's Simon Says. Like I said, who can create the Simon Says? Not us. Simon, and this is what it comes down, and they handpick black people. Clyburn is a puppet. Sheila Lee's a puppet. Al Sharpton is a puppet. They all puppets. And he's right. That generation, baby boomers, they whimpered down. They didn't stay. Some of them didn't stay strong like they are today. They whimpering down. They was the one that gave in to that generation. That gave in and said, "Why don't we just sit with them as they get spit on and crapped on and put the depth in all through this country, just to sit next to a person that spit in your food, that threw a brick at you." But yet they still has it changed? It didn't change in the 80s and the 90s, because I was looking at a video where Yusuf Hawkins during my era got killed by going into the wrong neighborhood in the 80s and in the early 90s. That was the Gen X time. And if you would look at back at during that time in New York, the incident happened in Boston when that white man accused a black man of killing his wife. What did the Boston police do in 1989? They stormed the place where blacks was at. They never repaired, and that's back in the late 80s in New York in the 90s. I witnessed this on TV. They never repaired that breach and other things. And this was in the 80s and the 90s, when I was young, during my high school years, after my high school years. I've seen the stuff. It hasn't changed. That was 30-something years ago. They need to do what is right. They need to do just what is right. And it's sad that you got black people like Clyburn and many of them that think this way. They're the ones that holding you back. And they agreed to hold you back because they want to maintain that class. They agreed to hold you back because they want to be part of the country club. They agreed to hold you back, and they come to your churches and, "Come on, Miss Jones, get that fish fry going on, because we're going down to Reverend so-and-so, so-and-so." And when they come around November time, and they tell you the same doggone thing. Why you get persecuted, your young people get persecuted in the street, your water supply in Flint, Michigan, and Mississippi get filled with lead and chemicals that's going to knock down your population, but they don't give a crap. They have tried experiments on you for the longest time. It's documented evitation that throughout the course of history, and then white supremacy tells you you add a greater higher number to die than any other number. When look at recently what happened with this latest virus. They made it seem like you was the one that have a higher death rate when this virus went around the world and killed everybody. Who did they target the first time? And say if you don't get this, then you're gonna leave at a higher rate. You was the one, and then they insult your intelligence and put it into the rap song and everything. You understand what I'm talking about? Look at the history. Look at the current history, and all of a sudden, people, a vast majority, start having medical problems like other people, and then eventually, some people died. Went to the upper, as my guy would say, went to the upper room. Look at what they doing to you. Look at what they doing to you as far as, let's say this. It is ran from a political standpoint of view. Look what happened in the last 30 years. Okay, you got the Democrat Party. They select their hand-picked black person that they put in the Democrat city. That city went down for so many years in crime and all this other manifestation of things. They sit back and they know they watch these communities when certain mayors were just as long as they was lying in their pocketbook, and certain politicians they wouldn't listen to the local people in the neighborhood. They listened to the local people in the neighborhood. They went to all that crime and all that thing, and guess what come around? Then your liberal come back around, and they find like there wasn't landlords, and they were people that would let the property go, and so your liberal friends, like along your conservative friends, go to the courthouses, get the tax deeds, and they buy your tax deed, get the foreclosure, gentrify your neighborhood, and kick you out of the neighborhood. Now you have and then this is what's happening right now as we speak. Not only that in your state and your city, then did you know in 2 states that and so they know you're gonna become homeless. Guess what they're gonna do? They just passed a law that in Alabama and I think Oregon, that if you're homeless, they can literally put you in jail. So if you go to jail, you do jail prison labor. You see what they doing? They designed the whole system from gentrification into reparation. It's the same thing, and they put it in people. They put it in the law. So now you lose your job. So now you lose your house. Now you go back and now you can be penalized. And if you decide to do like some people do, make a camp, they run you out. You see what they're doing? They put you right back. Then the Roman government police force they have to give you to tell you to move out. This is what they do. Then, like I said, with the water supply, because they knew in the inner city, African Americans they were led. And that was found in water. There was a doctor that mentioned this, and they said that the lead would pull down the learning skills of some of these children that would have active behaviors. So you got people still probably today in Flint, Michigan, still suffering with that. Whether who was Republican, whoever was Democrat. Look what they did. They just and so they know what the future with those kids going to turn out to be. They're going to slow down their motor learning skills. That's what they're trying to do. That's what the doctor was pointing. This was evidence. What lead would do when you get in your system. Not only that, so what the situation happened in Mississippi with the water supply down there. There's bacteria and stuff down there. And what other towns down there in the south, where there were power plants and sewage plants down there that would affect people's, and there are black people that still got property down in them areas. That's suffering, right? And that's in poverty and suffering under those conditions. And they put the black side worse. There might be two separate. The white side get a little bit more privilege than the black side. This is still going on to this day. There's some parts of the South still experience it to this day. Parts of the country. But just because of your politicians in your state. Not only that, and they know this. So then, healthcare, women's reproductive rights. How's this moving? Did you know that? Why is all the clinics are in your neighborhood? It's determined if you don't want your children, because Lord behold, we don't want these children, you being some of you in your community, raised up so they think that they're gonna be criminally minded, so they push abortion. Your liberals did this, and not only did they did this, your population start dropping. But in the suburbs, they're in the suburban area, they call fraternal clinics. So they're encouraging women out there not to look like this, to have more babies. This why? How does this connect? Think about how this connect. All this is connected in some kind of circle. And it's under white supremacy. Think about it. So the water supply, once you have the water supply, the criminalization, and they allow the crime to go. So they allow the criminals and stuff like that. They come in with the police, military, to drive out the ones. And someone said, "Good, we got it out." Wait a minute. Once they drive them out, guess what they're doing to your neighborhood? The dude come back in, and they live next door to you. Some of them will, but some of them know you ain't gonna be able to afford that property, and eventually you have to leave. And if you don't claim and own your own home, they come and take your property, just like that. It's designed. This what they're talking about. A good percentage of African Americans, there's other people it's happening to, have been under this system for 40, 50 or longer years. They are technically trying to annihilate you off the planet. Literally. And then there was a nurse that said that the most dangerous place, and I heard Phil from the Vice show say, for a black child is in the mother's womb. This came from a white woman. I'm gonna show that on the next video. You see what they're trying to do? What people do this? What people who would want to destroy a child? This how deep it is. It's orchestrated like this. It's orchestrated. Why it's black and white is mostly it is. It's set up that way. Look at this current system. Someone orchestrated it 40, 50 years ago. They planned this ahead of time. Look at what the results is. And so they come in, they come in, what should we do? We got guns, we got drugs, so they militarize their police. And look what happened in the neighborhoods. They drive the crime out, but gentrification come in. And some of the people that you grew up in the neighborhoods, they're no longer there. They come in, they tax the deed, and another thing that they do. You ever notice that they don't fit? And so when they drive in, these people, the roads start getting clear. There's new sidewalks, new pipeline, everything. When you live there for 30 something, you live in your block for 30. They never think about fixing those streets. They never fix those sewer lines. They let you suffer all that time. It's who you voted for, who you put in office. And some of you said, that's right, get with the people with boots on the ground because they see the whole picture. And they like, no. And then when it comes to November and May and November, they want you to do that chicken dance and be at that church doing that fish fry and say, come on, vote for us for another 5 years. Why? The other groups around, they don't have no problem with. They don't have no problem with them. They just keep their head keep your head to the ground and keep on grinding. This is true. And there's special tax laws, insurance laws for some people to get these special grants. That's true. Meanwhile, black businesses are struggling. Black farmers are struggling. And then they turn back around, they show you a small portion of young people are on the corner and saying these black Americans ain't lazy. Ain't that a bitch? They don't even know the whole story. They don't know the whole setup. That's why some of us feel the way that we do. And got the right to. This has been a system that's really designed from criminalization, and I'm not excusing what people are doing criminal in the street, but they knew that this was going to happen. They control the music, that they control you spiritually, so they act out. Young people get influenced and start taking each other out. That's another way. and they support it. So after they do that, you have an older generation that can't keep up with the payments and the taxes on their houses. A new generation come in and drive you out and drive your neighborhoods out. Then all of a sudden they want to fix up your neighborhoods because they trying to really integrate that neighborhood. And then you have some people that not used to being around people that look like you. Some of them not trying to be right because they can't adjust their reality. Because TV programmers see them, see some of your young people as, savages and things like that. But they do it with a smile. So then you could be a person that a young person that don't do nothing. The young man is good, the young lady is smart and right, but they go back to their neighborhood, they have to be washed over because the military police wise. You are in Babylon. This is the Babylon. It is what it is. What you see right now is what's happening right now. But it took place, someone did it years ago. That's what these three gentlemen were saying on their channel. And who you select, who you vote for. Just because someone is your skin, ain't your kinfolk. And because they think that it's going to be okay. If I had this political view about it. But see, what they don't understand is they up under Simon Says. You illusion that you're free, but you're not really free. You see, let me give you a little backstory history. You ever heard about the story? And I know some people think about the story about this one segment in the Bible where Moses, and when the Pharaoh said that during the time when God would tell Moses to go tell Pharaoh to go let my people go, and Pharaoh was putting Moses through, he hardened up Pharaoh's heart, and it was like, okay, the man can go out there. Simon says you can go out there, but leave your women and children here, because we're gonna watch over you. And then if the children they would probably send some Egyptian spies and come back to me, or some Hebrew sellout come back to me and tell me what's their plan out there in the desert, what their God is telling them. That you have that today. You have someone who's going to sell you out, go back to the hand puppet master, like the Egyptian, like Egypt did. Let's find out who these Negroes is about, what they're planning on. And they do. And they can look like you, and they could be a liberal. You won't know. Then they go back and tell and take a plan. My suggestion, black people, is pick the right God. Don't pray to the ancestors. Pray to the one that created your ancestors and he will give you the solution. Because he's have watched this system over time in this country for over 400 years. He's seen it transform. The same God that I'm talking about is and that's the only way we get out. That's the only way we get set free. Because see, there's no pharaohs in the land. If they give it to you, and when God lays on their heart to give, and he will give it to you at some point, but you got to give him his praise, his glory, and he will give you a solution out. Because right now, you're in the land of the pharaohs, the Grecians, the Romans, trying to determine if you're property or if you're human. That's what it's about. And you have people playing on one side, the other, saying just by the complexion of your skin and the history of what told us through the history, you are property. The movies tell them you are property. That you are different people, but you were made to be a property, like an animal. Because if they really treat and talk to you like a human being, and some do, but the ones who have the underlying don't. and the Most High will show you which ones don't. And He'll show you the sellouts too, who agree with it, who stand agreeing with it. Only the thing about it is, when it comes to a sellout, he has his time too. Because no matter if you get right to the country's club, you still have to go through the color. You're not welcome in all places, even when you're a sellout. Oh, they'll use you, but you can agree with their points, and you'll be their pet. You'll be their favorite, but you'll be a sellout. You won't be respected. No one respects a sellout. Even the ones that you're kissing up to those folks that are doing that. Don't matter what part of the party you're on. You are invisible till you are visible. You invisible till they make you visible. The artist Simon Says. That's a fact. You don't have to believe me. Open up your eyes. Let wisdom show you. Let the Most High show you by their heart, their actions. Will tell you a whole point. Let Him show you. But you get, but my people, give the glory to, and He will get it for you. That's the message after this. I'm about to end this video. That's the message. Don't pray to no other gods. Pray to the God that your ancestors in the right place in heaven, with the one that was the word that was manifested, fight after the spiritual devils. That's going to fight out the spiritual and the physical devils. That's the one you need to give. That's the only way we're getting free. Because this is a warfare. That need to be right. That's what it is. They don't want to tell you this. And they feel like in white supremacy, as a collective, as a spirit, is trying to hold on to it in this country and globally. It has to let loose. If they don't, it's going to burn up with this planet. So their kingdom is about to come to an end. I assure you this. Their kingdom is coming to an end. And if they don't give it up, it will go into extinction. Like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt. Look at the history. And let me say this. The God of the eternal of that time is the God of the eternity of today. He's going to make it justice. Hang on, black people. Keep pushing. And I urge you to cry out to the God. If they keep playing games, God knows they're playing games. It's time to cry out to Him and demand, cry a cry of justice over them. Say, God, you know what the deal is. We're still invisible. Make us visible to them. That's what it comes down to. And you will be invisible in front of all nations. They will respect you and honor you. You believe me when I'm saying it's going to happen. Don't worry. They can laugh at it and that every century time people laugh and ask for justice. And you see what happened. The Romans laugh, you see what happened. The Grecians laugh, you see what happened. There's evidence, there's barely evidence. And the Babylonians laugh, you see what happened to their kingdom. And the Egyptians laugh, you see that they're taken over by another kingdom. You don't think the God of heaven and earth did it in those different eras, He would do it in this era. Oh, the United States is going to give it up because it's going to be on His order. Ain't nothing they can do. There's no weapon or anything can stop it. Just hang on. But for you hang on to the one. Don't go with the other gods. Come back to the real God. Come back to the one that's going to set you free. Spiritually, mentally, monetarily free. That's the only way we're getting out. It's nothing they can do. And He will put a barrier for those to come against. And when the Egyptians come back, they're going to fall. If they do, they'll come back around. That spirit will. Say, oh, we gave it up. Let's go back and put them back in bondage. That's what God's going to. Just like He did with Egypt. America tried to do that stuff, and any other nation tried to do that. Watch. And it's not just a story. God's gonna prove what because there ain't nothing new up under the sun. He do it then. Same God can do it now in His own way, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. There's nothing that they can do to stop the Almighty God. So that's the message I want to leave to you. I'm about to go cut this video, but behold, stand still. It's coming. Be blessed. For this message, take care.